Wow. Someone's been doing their homework on this one. Looks like we've got uh, YouTube videos, transcripts, even some pasted text, all on Elon Musk. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, it seems like you want the full Elon experience, not just the Tesla stuff, but like his whole big vision thing, you
Yeah,
know?
exactly. So where do we even start with this guy? He's like everywhere, doing everything.
Well, one thing that pops up a lot in the stuff you sent is this idea that, like, humanity needs a backup plan.
A backup plan. Like we're all going to get beamed up to a spaceship if things go south here.
Well, not exactly. More like Musk is really focused on this whole making humanity a multiplanetary species thing, and that starts with Mars.
Mars, huh? Okay. So is this just about survival then, or is there something more to it?
I mean, it is about survival. He talks about this great filter, basically, these challenges that civilizations hit that could, wipe them out. He thinks becoming multiplanetary is how we get past that. But it also seems like it's about pushing the limits of what humans can do. Mars is like a blank slate, a place to build a new society from scratch.
A new society on Mars.
Hmm.
Hmm. I mean, just getting there is a huge challenge, right? I read somewhere that he thinks we need 1 million people and millions of tons of cargo for a real Martian city.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's doable in 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years is crazy ambitious. It shows how optimistic he is, Like he really believes technology can solve any problem, no matter how impossible it seems. He wants to do centuries of progress in just a couple decades.
So how's he going to pull that off?
That's where Starship comes in. SpaceX isn't just launching satellites, they're building a whole transportation system for space travel.
Hmm.
It's massive, this thing, 500 feet tall, can carry 200 tons to orbit. And get this, it's reusable.
It's like that, was it Battlestar Galactica? Thousands of ships going to Mars every 2 years.
Exactly. It's mind-blowing, the scale of it. And he says it'll eventually be cheaper to fly Starship than the little Falcon 1 rocket. And Starship's not just for Mars either. It could go anywhere in the solar system. We could even have a moon base.
Okay, so he's making the roads to a multiplanetary future, starting with Mars. But how do you make Mars, you know, livable?
Well, this is where things get a little controversial. He suggested using nuclear weapons to terraform Mars.
Hold on. Nukes on Mars. That sounds kind of extreme, don't you think? What's that even supposed to do?
The idea is to create these two pulsing suns over the poles. They'd release CO2 and warm the planet up. Maybe make a thicker atmosphere, get some liquid water going, make it more like Earth.
Okay, let's shift gears away from nukes on Mars for a second. There was something in here about asteroid mining, too. Is that part of the plan?
You're talking about 16 Psyche, the asteroid that's worth quadrillions because it's basically solid metal.
Yeah, Musk has mentioned wanting to mine it. It's crazy. Enough gold to make every single person on Earth a billionaire, at least for a day. But wouldn't that just totally wreck the global economy? Seems like there are way more downsides than upsides to that.
Yeah, the expert in one of these videos said it would be a disaster, economically speaking. Currencies would crash, total chaos. Plus, how do you even mine an asteroid and get all that stuff back to Earth?
Right, there's got to be an easier way to solve money problems. So, if Mars is the main goal, what about the moon? Is that just a quick stop on the way, or does it have its own place in this whole vision thing?
Well, he actually thinks we should go back to the moon to build a city. Like a real city, not just a base. He sees it as practice for Mars, a place to learn how to live and work in space. SpaceX is already working on a version of Starship for the moon.
It's wild how all this stuff connects spaceships, asteroids, cities on the moon.
Yeah.
It's all part of this bigger idea of humans becoming a spacefaring species.
He's thinking on a totally different timescale than most people. While we're worried about next week, he's planning for centuries from now.
And speaking of connecting across huge distances, there's Starlink. It's already giving internet to millions of people, even in remote areas. Imagine having that between Earth and a Mars colony.
It's a cool idea, but Starlink has also caused some, controversy. It's operating in countries where it's not even legal. Like in India, some militants were using it. If it's going to be the communication system for Mars, who gets to make the rules?
That's a good question. Like, are there space laws for this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
This is totally uncharted territory.
Yeah, exactly. And this leads us to another part of Musk's influence, his politics. Owning X, or Twitter as it used to be called, gives him a huge platform. He campaigns against certain policies, donates millions to campaigns.
Wow, so we've got this guy building rockets, launching satellites, dreaming of Mars, and now he's getting into the politics too. That's a lot on his plate.
Yeah, and he's not just dipping his toes in. He was made co-chair of the Department of Government Efficiency, trying to make government run better and not waste money.
I can see why some people are worried about how much power he has. He's involved in everything. Space travel, social media, the government.
It definitely makes you wonder about conflicts of interest, right? And how his own opinions might be shaping things. It's a lot of influence for one person. And then there's Tesla. It's not just electric cars anymore. Now they're making robots like Optimus.
Oh yeah, Optimus. I saw that video of it, serving drinks. Musk said it will be cooking and doing chores soon, and thousands of them will be working in Tesla factories next year.
Makes you think about the future of work, right? Will these robots take our jobs or just help us out? It's something we'll have to figure out as AI and robots keep getting better. This feels like a good place to stop for now and think about what we've covered. We've just scratched the surface of Elon Musk and his ideas, but even now we're seeing this pattern of big goals, crazy solutions, and tough questions about the future.
I'm ready to dive deeper.
So we've talked about a lot, from Mars colonies to robot bartenders, but what's really interesting is how Musk approaches this whole innovation thing. He talks about this first principles thinking.
Yeah, I remember reading about that, breaking problems down to like the most basic truths instead of just doing things the way they've always been done.
Right. It's about questioning everything, figuring out new ways to solve problems. He used this with Tesla's electric cars, SpaceX's reusable rockets, even with his tunnel company, the Boring Company.
So it's not just about coming up with crazy ideas. It's about finding the best solutions, even if they sound a little out there at first. Speaking of Tesla, one of the articles mentioned that Tesla's cars are the most American-made cars out there.
Yeah, he said that a lot. It's kind of funny because he complains about government policies all the time, but he built all these Tesla factories in the U.S.
He's also not a fan of unions, right? Which is different from the traditional car companies like General Motors.
And yet now General Motors is going to be using Tesla's charging technology.
It's wild how that happened. Even his competitors are seeing how good Tesla's technology is.
It's a win for Musk's whole sustainable transportation thing. But his electric vehicles need batteries. A lot of batteries. Remember that video about the diamond battery? The one that could last for thousands of years?
Yeah, that was like straight out of sci-fi.
Yeah.
Using radioactive waste to make power.
Pretty crazy, right? They take this radioactive graphite and cover it with lab-grown diamond. Diamond's great at conducting heat and blocking radiation. So they basically turn nuclear waste into a super long-lasting battery.
Sounds cool, but is it safe? What happens to it after thousands of years, when it's done?
Those are definitely questions we gotta ask. Safety and storage are big deals.
Yeah.
But it also shows how technology might be able to solve some of our biggest problems, even nuclear waste. Switching gears a bit, there was that video about Musk getting into it with a BBC reporter about hate speech on Twitter.
Yeah, he did not hold back. That showed a different side of him. He's not afraid to challenge anyone, even reporters.
He's definitely not your average CEO. Very outspoken, especially on social media. Some people love him for it, some hate him.
He kind of seems to like the controversy. One thing that struck me is that his vision isn't just about technology or making money. It's something, bigger.
Yeah, he talks about expanding human consciousness, making sure humanity survives. Technology's just the tool to do it.
It's like he wants to change the course of history, push us past our limits, and into this new age of exploration and, possibility. We've talked about Mars, all the tech stuff, his political views. But what about his companies? Are they really as successful as everyone says?
Well, Tesla's a big deal in the car world. SpaceX is changing how we do space travel, and Starlink is connecting people all over. But they've all had problems too. Production delays, stuff not working right, rockets exploding, even worries about space junk.
So it's kind of a mixed bag. Huge successes, but also big risks.
Yeah, that's how innovation works, right? Messy and unpredictable. The real question is, can these companies make money in the long run?
Right, because without money, even the best ideas won't go anywhere. So what's the financial situation?
Well, Tesla's making money now, after losing a ton for a while. SpaceX has big contracts with NASA and other governments, plus regular customers, too. And Starlink's getting more and more people signing up, so they're making money. But they all need huge investments to keep developing new stuff and expanding.
It's a tightrope walk. Pushing the boundaries, but also making sure they don't go broke. So where does this leave us? Is Musk's vision actually possible?
That's the million-dollar question. But he's got people excited, He's made people believe that anything's possible.
He's definitely got everyone talking about the future, about technology, about what kind of world we want to live in.
And as we go deeper into the world of Elon Musk, we're going to explore those big questions even more.
So we've looked at so much about Elon Musk, what he wants to do, the tech he's building, all the controversy. He's not just some CEO, he's like a celebrity or something.
Yeah, there's definitely this cult of personality thing going on with him. It's interesting, you sent over a transcript of a podcast, and Don Lemon, the former CNN anchor, was talking about job interviews.
Oh yeah, he was saying he wouldn't approach an interview with Patrick Bet-David the same way he did with Elon Musk.
Right. He said when he interviewed Musk for CNN, he felt like he messed up because he treated him like somebody that just showed up on my show. But Lemon was arguing that, well, Musk bought X for $44 billion. He ain't just anybody.
So basically, Musk's money and influence put him on a different level, even for experienced journalists.
It shows how there's always this power dynamic, even in something like a news interview. And Musk doesn't mind pushing back against that, challenging authority. It's part of what makes him so interesting and I guess so controversial, too.
He's definitely not afraid to shake things up. Cars, space travel, social media, you name it.
Which brings us to AI. Musk has been both for it and against it. Kind of weird. Yeah, he co-founded OpenAI to make sure AI helps humanity, but then he's also warned about the dangers of AI if it's not controlled. And then, of course, he went and started his own AI company, XAI.
So it seems like he wants to be in charge of AI, making sure it goes the way he thinks it should.
It is important to remember that he's not all sunshine and rainbows about AI. Remember that quote where he compared it to summoning the demon? Kind of scary.
Right, so he's moving forward, but he knows there are risks. AI is clearly a big part of his planned self-driving cars, those humanoid robots, this new XAI company.
He even had this idea for a neural lace, basically a computer chip in your brain, like merging your mind with AI.
That's some next-level stuff.
It shows you how ambitious he is. He's not happy with just making things a little better. He wants to completely change the game.
He's willing to bet big on things that most people would say are impossible.
It's that confidence plus his energy and smarts that's made him so influential. So after looking at all this, what do you think? Is he a genius? A reckless chaos maker? Somewhere in between.
It's hard to say, honestly. He's a brilliant engineer, he's amazing at marketing and getting attention, and he can be impulsive and say things that get people riled up.
You can't really put him in a box.
He's not perfect, he's definitely messed up sometimes. But you can't deny he's changed things. He's made us think bigger, imagine a future that's way beyond what we thought was possible.
That's a really good point. Elon Musk shows us that the future isn't set in stone. We get to create it.
So as you go about your day, what sticks with you? What do you be thinking about? Is Musk a good guy or bad guy? Is Mars really going to happen, or is it a fantasy? Is technology going to help us or control us? There's a lot to consider, and that's what makes this so interesting. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep imagining what's possible.